show is sponsored by Hivemind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the Hivemind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings, and of course to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
Hey guys, yeah, sorry about running late, man. I just got a new computer, so I was like downloading. It's like download Zoom, and then now you got to download this other extension for Apple and all kinds of crap. I'm like, just let me in my meeting, bro. Mr. Matt Rogers, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Like I haven't seen you in forever, man.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
How's it been going? You still crushing or what?
Yeah, we're churning deals. Had a couple of rural vacant lots in North Carolina. Bigger acreage, like 20, 30 acres, and still just flipping away in Florida.
Are those good hits, 20, 30 acres in North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, this one took like 8 months to close because we had a really crazy probate. We had 3 closing attorneys look at it and turn us down because it was so messy. And
Wow.
we went back to a 4th, and the 4th told us probably can't do it either. And they found a way to get it done. So it took forever, but I don't know. We made like 25 grand on it. So that was good.
Shoot, I love that. I love how in real estate, we talk about 20 G's like it's nothing.
It's crazy. I mean, I've probably done 50, 60 deals in the time it took this thing to close. But, with those title issues and you have crazy probates and stuff with the millionaires and all these things going on. It's just one of those things that have to kind of go in the back burner, and you just keep plugging away until someday the attorney's going to call and say, hey, we're cleared to close. And you just never know when that is.
That's dope, man. So yeah, that's what we wanted to talk about. Tonight's call is specifically marketing. So that's where a lot of people struggle, lots of real estate investors, and they get a headache over the marketing aspect. So maybe you can tag team in here and help me out. If you see something else or something you want to share, just feel free to hop in and yeah, we'd love to hear how you're getting 50 to 60 deals. That's nuts, dude. That's awesome.
It's mainly been, just texting, honestly. Like a lot of the rural vacant land leads are direct mail that I still do.
Mm-hmm.
My partner and I still do that. And then I do the infills on my own. And those are all texting I just do through Hive. So, some of these deals are bigger than others. And I mean, I've done a few outside of Hive with other marketing methods and stuff, but the majority of them are just texts.
Insane, man. So yeah, I know a lot of people are starting to get flagged now. Have you changed your strategy any as far as like using more phone numbers, less slower rate?
Yeah, well, I made a mistake. I was I sent a blast out way too many in one day. I sent out like 5,000 in one day on accident. I didn't do it on purpose. And about half my messages got flagged. So I don't know if that really affects my numbers or what. You can probably answer that better than I can. But on my drip sequence, like one of the 3 would go through, like the first text will go out. If that got flagged, maybe day 2 or the second or third text went through. But I don't know. We're still getting deals. So let's keep doing it until it stops.
Yeah, heck yeah. We talked about this with Daniel and myself before we even started on this journey. And we said, we know that the regulations are going to eventually change. So we're trying to pivot and make sure we're staying in front of it. But also I think about diversifying your marketing. You mentioned mailers, which I've never really done too much of, but that's what I wanted to chat about tonight, was that you have to be versatile. You have to be flexible if you're going to succeed in this business and you're going to continue to get deals at scale. You got to be prepared to pivot. Like we all can't be, just depending on one strategy forever, because things are always going to change. Markets are going to become ineffective. Marketing methods are going to become ineffective. I've been following marketing for about 15 years. I've been real heavily in it. Like I'm talking about, like right now I'm down like a health rabbit hole, which I've been in probably since I was 12. And I'm doing like peptides and all this anti-aging, not for human consumption type stuff. So I go down these rabbit holes and I don't come back, man. But I've been down a marketing one for a very long time. And I think that's something that you have to prepare for, is that you have to be fluid. You have to be able to move from one strategy to another, and to keep your business up and running. Cool, man. Yeah. So that's what we wanted to talk about tonight, was just marketing, marketing, marketing. How do you continue to make this business simple? I thought about it. Right now, I would say in the last 14 days, I've probably got more contracts than I've ever got before in my real estate career, which isn't a lot, but I want to say we're like at 6 or 7 contracts in like under 14 days, maybe 10 days. And I thought about it. I was like, man, this is like the easiest that this business has ever been for me. And I feel like this is the least amount of work we've ever done, because now we have our marketing dialed in, where we're getting leads almost every single day. And a lot of them are inbound leads. We're running some text campaigns still. We have a dialer going, but it's just a little bit of everything. And then when the leads are coming in consistently, I think that makes this business like there's less science to it. The less good you have to be at comps, the less stressful that it is. It really just does make everything easier. And I thought about it. I was like, man, I know so many people are stuck right now in this business because they're just starving for leads. And if your business is starving for leads, your business is probably starving for cash as well. So it's that eternal dance where you have to be able to allocate a certain amount of funds to marketing. And if you can automate your marketing where you're getting constant inbound leads, everything becomes super, super simple. I'm like, what the heck? This is amazing. I think after this, I'm just in just over 3.5 years. And yeah, it seems like this, I can feel how the business is getting easier and easier to navigate, because we do have access to a lot more leads now. And it's becoming a lot less stressful. So I used to wake up in the morning like at 8, 9 o'clock and just start pounding the keyboard. And I'm going to bed at 10, 11 midnight, still trying to figure out, what I need to do, what needs to happen next. And now it's like I'm coming into the office at 12 or 1 and I'm gone by like 4 or 5, and the business is growing faster than it ever has. So that's why I wanted to chat a little bit about marketing and real estate and see what we can do to see if we can get some people into momentum. So at any given time, man, if you guys want to jump in and ask questions, feel free to just interrupt and pop in. And I'm happy to have some conversation about this. If you want to stop me to go a little bit deeper about a point, or if you missed something, I'll back up. Just feel free to jump in. I actually made some notes for today.
Are you talking mainly about like PPC and inbound leads?
I want to talk about marketing in general, everything, right? So there's another saying in marketing that says, what does it say for beginner stuff, like 101 marketing, that they're super simple strategies, right? And it is all beginner, but if you're not implementing them, then it's an advanced strategy, right? So even the simple basics, if you're not doing the basics, then they're advanced for you if you're not implementing them or using them right now. So I wanted to cover a little bit about automation, VAs, leveraging people, leveraging capital, and everything, even branding, content marketing, because marketing it's like an engine is the way that I imagine it in my mind. I imagine like it's like an engine in space that's producing something, right? So everything that we do, every post that we make, every conversation we have, every interaction we have on Facebook groups with other people, you're doing something to turn the engine, right? And the engine only turns by cash, and it turns by activity. Right. And that activity can be something as simple as, like I said, like being helpful in other groups. So I see people all the time commenting on the groups like, hey, I have a land deal, I want to move, can somebody help me? Hey, how do you comp land? So all I'm doing in my free time is I'm scrolling through these groups and I'm just finding people that need help and then just dropping a very short answer, maybe in 1 or 2 sentences. And every time I see somebody asking for help, I do the same thing in everybody's group. I never say, hey, call me, I'm the guy. So I never try to infringe on anybody's group, but I always let it be known that I'm willing to help, even if there's no benefit in it for me. And I think that's a huge part of the marketing that I do now. So today I came into the office and somebody asked me, they said, where do all these leads come from? They're like, you come into the office, you haven't been here all day, and then you have leads already. And I'm like, well, most of it, people are sending them to me. People send me deals like, hey, can you help with this? Can you help with this? Can you help with this? And so now I'm forwarding those to the team and then seeing if they can take a look at it to help us figure it out. But that's a lot of what I'm doing. So with that, it sounds like that might be a fat waste of time, is just going around and just helping a random bunch of strangers on Facebook. But what I'm doing, inadvertently, because I was doing this before I was even thinking about it, is you're building a personal brand, right? So I'm on, Pace Morby's group. I'm in any of the other groups that you see on Facebook, REI Tipster, a lot of these big guys. If you're just there helping, you're doing a couple of things. For one, you're helping the owner of that page, right? Help their audience and help their followers. So it makes their page seem more useful because you're contributing there. But then also I'm branding myself as an expert amongst many different topics, right? So no matter what it's about, I try to display as much expertise in as short amount of time as possible. So if I can drop 1 or 2 or 3 sentences in a group, and other people are going to go down, and some of this stuff lasts forever, man. So I'll drop a helpful comment, and 6 months later, somebody likes it. Or somebody sends me a screenshot on Messenger on Facebook and says, hey, I saw you talking about probates in Texas in this group. And I'm like, what the heck? That's screenshots from like 2020, right? So you got to imagine in content marketing, right? If you have a blog, whatever you blog about, whatever you write about, the more keywords you use, the more videos that are on your website that are talking about a specific topic, Google recognizes you as an expert in that field, and then they'll rank you higher in the searches, right? So that's like old school SEO marketing. But if you think about it, even on Facebook, you are kind of like doing SEO for yourself. So every time you drop a comment in a group on Facebook, you're branding yourself as an expert, and it's kind of building up SEO for yourself, right? So now I'm getting all these inbound organic leads for something that I said a year or two ago. So in your free time, you're scrolling through these groups, you're just being helpful. It benefits another person, right? We're not exactly doing it for selfish reasons, but it doesn't hurt when it comes back to us. But think about that. Every time you help somebody in somebody else's group, you're like pretty much building like a blog on Facebook for yourself for all time. So that's going to lead to inbound leads forever, right? So for all time, people are going to be able to go back in that group. Like I can go right now to Roughneck to Real Estate or Pace Morby's group and say San Antonio apartment complexes. And bam, it pulls up, it indexes all of the content that has to do with San Antonio and apartment complexes. So you can do that in anybody's group and position yourself as an expert in these large groups on Facebook. So that's going to point back to your branding. So another thing that I do as far as branding goes is when I'm on these groups and these pages, I always mention that, hey, I'm a land guy. So when somebody says, anybody's group, I've seen it a million times in Pace's group where it says, hey, does anybody do land? And the first thing that I comment every single time, you could probably go search this phrase inside of the creative financing from Pace Morby group. I say, hey, I only do land, happy to help. Let me know, right? So again, what that does is it positions myself in front of 20,000 people that says, hey, I'm a land guy. I only do land. I don't do any houses. So that makes you stand out, from a sea of house investors, of sub-2 investors, of house flippers. People will recognize you and they're going to start to associate your name with land. So now imagine that I've made that comment in 1,000 times in different pages that says, hey, I only do land. I use the word only specifically so that people could recognize me as a land expert. So now what I've been noticing more and more is I open Facebook and I have a notification and it says, like somebody saying, hey, does anybody buy land in Texas? And somebody I've never seen before, never even heard of their name before, has tagged me on somebody's land post, which is pretty cool because for one, it's starting to draw in more leads now and more conversations from other wholesalers and investors, but also other people are seeing that all over the place now. Hey, who does land? Hey, who does land? Hey, who does land? In 100 Facebook groups, and random strangers are dropping my name in those groups now. So what is that doing? It's further building on top of the brand that, hey, I'm the land guy. Some girl called me from Florida last week, and she got some guy on the phone. They have like a $60 million land deal, and it's a student of hers. And she was like, hey, I have the land god on the phone. I thought it was funny, but the land god, like that's hilarious. But again, it goes back to the fact that, by me branding myself and tagging in all these different groups, me mentioning land, I only do land, I only do land. Don't forget to brand yourself everywhere you go, right? Because Pace has done it now with sub-2. And I saw him on a podcast, I think yesterday, and he says he's closing like on 40 houses or 60 houses this month or something like that. Right. And that only comes after years and years of branding himself as a sub-2 guy. So whatever you want to be involved in, if land's not your thing, if you're going to do apartments, whatever you are going to do, make sure that you start branding yourself as, whatever you want to be known for. Don't tell John, he'll trademark that too. Yeah, I love John, man. John's cool. But I mean, he's done it, right? The land mogul. So you see him on his social media pages everywhere, and he's the land mogul. So I don't think that many people are going to call John Alexander and say, hey, man, I have the sub-2 house. Can you help me? Right? Because he hasn't branded himself that way. So always being conscientious of that. If you're quiet on Facebook, if you're not comfortable, talking in groups or anything, just think about it. Every time you help somebody, every time you mention your name, you comment somewhere, anywhere on Facebook, even on Instagram, remember to brand yourself around whatever niche you want to be involved in. I chose land, and it's coming back, like I said, threefold now. because I'm starting to get inbound messages from strangers all day, every day in Messenger saying, hey, I have some land. Can you help me? Can you take a look at this for me? So I wanted to cover that, both branding and then also content marketing. So anytime.
Anthony, can I jump in on that real quick? I'm sorry.
Please, no, please, dude. I would love for you to jump in and help. Yeah.
I mean, that's a great point about kind of picking and choosing your spots to jump in and add value to somebody's question or post or something. I did that. I'm a member of Pace's Sub2 community, and I did that on. There's a lot of people that don't know much about land in there, which is fine. And I've helped out tons of people and have JV deals with people in the group and everything. One guy in particular had just kind of threw out. He was working with a couple of high-end lots in this area in Florida I work, and I saw it way later in the day. Nobody had commented on it, and I jumped in and just said, hey, or he might have tagged me or something. I can't remember. It was a few months ago. And we just got to talking, and I looked at it, and it wasn't the kind of deal I normally do, but I reached out to a couple of people, a couple of my buyers who I thought were long shots to maybe buy this. One of them took both lots, and we both walked with like 30K. So just by kind of keeping yourself top of mind and present and jumping in some of these threads and comments and stuff where you feel like it's appropriate and where you can add value, just me replying to one comment was basically worth $30,000. So, and you could do that over and over again, just like you said.
Just for going in there and just saying, hey, I do land. Hey, I do land.
And you might make a 1,000 comments or 500 comments or something, and you're not necessarily doing it just to get a deal, but it does come back to you at some point. And it did with me, and that's happened several other times in the group with other people I've JV'd with. So even here in this group, Ray, he and I JV'd a deal. I think you were even involved, Anthony. So there's a quick little deal we did in Lehigh Acres in Florida, and that was just off of me responding to something in a thread, and I had a buyer lined up, and we got it done, and I think me, you, and Ray all made money on that. So
yeah, dude. No, that's sick. I mean, it's the same thing. Like I said, if you're just going to talk to somebody, you're just going to drop a comment on Facebook, just maybe a helpful comment, maybe a, hey, I'm the guy comment. Hey, I'm happy to help with that. I do land, and you made 30 grand.
Well, right? when you do it with no real thought of like getting something out of it. I mean, of course you want to do deals and you want to work with people, of course. But you're not doing it, just like foaming at the mouth for something, like you're just trying to be helpful. And when you do that and you kind of come from a certain place of service and wanting to help, like good things happen. Right. So,
I think that's what it is. Yeah. You're not a walking commercial, but yeah, you're
there's plenty of people like that who send me every deal, blah, 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 JV. And that's cool. I get it. I get why you want to do that. But I think there's a certain level of like you want to promote yourself, but in a way that's not super kind of annoying and salesy. And people can kind of sense your genuineness. I know it's tough because text is kind of tone deaf, but just in the way you write and interact with people, I think they can tell a big difference, between somebody like yourself and maybe somebody who's just, push. So.
Yeah, man, that's a great point too, is you don't want to do the opposite. Right, and go full retard and hop into somebody's page and be like, hey, I'm the guy. Everybody text me, everybody call me. Now it looks like you're trying to draw attention away from the group instead of contributing. Right. So we got to be careful with that, because that's a great point too, is you don't want to, I mean, it's the equivalent of going to somebody else's page and then posting on the page and saying, hey, I'm a land expert, hit me up so we can JV. Like, I mean, yeah, maybe you can get away with it every now and then, but it just doesn't.
But over and over, there's a fine line between kind of, you want to promote yourself in a good way so people know who you are, but not in a way that kind of turns people off. It's pretty easy to see. We've all seen plenty of people in a lot of these groups who kind of go about it, I think, the wrong way. But, hey, to each their own, and they're probably still getting deals off it. But, I've had other people come to me too and just say, hey, man, thank you for your help. And even if it doesn't go anywhere, I'll help somebody comp something or look at something. And, I don't do it all day because we'd never make any money. But, there's good times to pick and choose your spots to help people and not really expect anything in return. And if something happens, great. And if not, then, they'll remember you down the line also.
Yeah, I do the same thing too, man. I think being helpful, right? So if you look helpful in a group, right? Like Matt said, you don't want to be like just helping other people all day long where you're not making any cash. But if you come off as a helpful person, like you're contributing to that person's page and you're contributing to somebody else's business, that's always going to come back. And I really do believe in that. I really believe in the energy exchange, where if you just help enough people, eventually some of it's going to come back to you. So maybe that's not the point. Like, we're not just helping just so we can like get traffic, but again, just I think helping other people in their business. I know people did it for me when I first started. I was asking everybody for help. Hey, what can I do here? Hey, what about this? Hey, I just crazy, just asking everybody, like with no shame. And I feel like everybody just reached out to me. I don't know what that was, but that made me feel pretty good. And so now I try to do it for other people too. Is like, I'm going to help other people succeed because everybody opened the door for me.
And guess what? You probably remember 4 or 5 of those people now. You probably recognize their name if you saw them, or maybe you still are in contact with them. I don't know. But, there's those people when you first get started that you can tell they're trying to help and they're not necessarily asking you for anything. And those are people, and sometimes people, disappear or get out of the business or go do other things. And that's great too. But, I can tell you right now, there's 4 or 5 people when I first got started that were very, very helpful and didn't ask me for anything and didn't expect anything, and were just genuinely helpful. And I'll remember them as long as I'm in the business. I don't even know if they're still around, but I could tell you who they are.
Yeah, same for me, man. So I went into Corey's page, Roughneck to Real Estate, and he's here in Texas. And I went on there and I posted an ugly lot. It was a flag lot, and I had a really good deal on it. And people were like, "Oh, flag lot. Oh, that lot's crap. You're never going to sell that." And Jason Witherspoon came on there. He's like, "Dude, that lot is badass." He's like, "Because I'm surrounded by trees." He was like, "I can do redneck shit out there." He's like, "That's a badass lot." He's like, "You're going to definitely sell it." And I never forgot that, man. Like, man, this guy has my back. He doesn't even know who I am. And now we're friends to this day. Him and Corey are partners, and I'm super cool with Jason. He calls me randomly for no reason, and we just stay on the phone for 30 minutes, just like boys, shooting the shit about business, about nothing, talking smack, and then laughing a little bit, and that's it. But I remember that, yeah, he had my back in that group when I felt like everybody was laughing at me as a new guy. And yeah, now we're lifelong friends. So
sometimes all it takes is that initial kind of like, hey, you got something here, or don't let everyone just tell you that it's nothing, or just a little push of confidence, especially when you're kind of getting started, can really go a long way, because a lot of times you don't know what you're looking at, or you're still trying to kind of figure out what's what and things like that. So those things do go a long way, and people remember.
Yeah, I think energetically too, right? So if there's a bunch of new people wandering around, bumping their heads into walls, if you help those people at some point, like you said, like now you have a bond with those people. And at some point in the future, they might come back to you and say, or somebody else has a deal and they're going to say, "Hey, do you know anybody in San Antonio that could help me move this lot?" Like, heck, I need to talk to Anthony, right? Because you had that guy's back 2 or 3 years ago. So those are, I think I call that like the basics of marketing, like for one, personal branding. And then for two, like I said, like kind of doing SEO, like on Facebook and Instagram, is where you're engaging enough and branding yourself as an expert in any niche, mine's land. And just doing that over and over again. I feel like people don't recognize the like the monetary exchange there, because the only way you're going to get traffic is by time or capital, right? So you're going to invest time into finding deals. Like you can sit on Landglide all day and skip trace that stuff, or you can pay, right? You can pay Facebook, you can pay Google, you can send text messages, you can drop RVMs or make phone calls. But either way, you're going to invest time or capital to get leads, right? To get seller leads. So if you think about that, right, like Facebook will have you pay per impression, or it'll pay per click. So you can say, okay, I'm going to allocate $1,000 a month for Facebook to get leads and get ads. Essentially all you're paying for is eyeballs. So if you're in these groups and you're having conversations and you're interacting with other people and you're dropping comments all the time, you're getting a lot of eyeballs for free. So if you think about that, like, hey, I don't have a marketing budget. Well, if you don't have a marketing budget, you probably have a little bit of extra time. So I would highly encourage everybody that's watching this to be aware that by you dropping comments inside of groups, and helpful comments especially, you're dropping content, you're dropping an ad, and you are going to get eyeballs, and it will turn into deals. I've had referrals turn into 100 grand, into 50 grand. So I wouldn't take it lightly, right? And of course, that's a longer term strategy, again, because you're investing time. If you're not going to invest capital into marketing, it might take a lot longer to get momentum, right? Because if you pay, you get instant traffic, instant leads, instant deals. But if you don't have a lot of capital to throw around, yeah, don't forget to get yourself out there, get your name out there at all costs, and dropping content and dropping comments and helpful comments inside of groups on Facebook and Instagram is a great way to brand yourself and to get free eyeballs. So that's beginner stuff, guys, again. But if you're not doing it, then it's advanced. right? That's to me, that's like marketing 101. And if you're not doing the beginner stuff, then it is an advanced strategy. So I encourage everybody, if you're going to be in this business for a long time, if you intend to have a long career in this business, yeah, please start implementing that strategy immediately. Like I've literally made 100 grand on a deal and the seller gave me back another 20,000 on top of that because he didn't want the money in his pocket. So I've also had sellers that bought stuff from me and then gave me the money back from the sale, right, to invest into other stuff. So you never know what just a simple comment's going to lead to. So that's what I wanted to cover for starters. Is the only way to get leads, the only way to get traffic is from either cash or an investment of time. So if you can invest either or, what you'll end up with is a consistent flow of leads. If you have a consistent flow of leads, you're going to have a consistent flow of deals. And when you have a consistent flow of deals, then you get to like analyze those deals, see what the best exit strategy is. And then you can turn around when you come across enough of them. Some of them are not great wholesale deals, but they're great wraps, right? So you get a property that's worth 8,000, and instead of you buying it for 8,000 or wholesaling it for 12, I sold one for 40,000, right, on a note, where the end buyer is the one that paid the 8,000, right? So that leads to cash flow. So that's why I wanted to talk. I call this session, passive leads to passive cash flow, because eventually you convert enough of those deals, and you want to get the cash out right away, but you can turn a lot of this into cash. Something that I heard recently on a podcast that I'm going to start implementing now is where you take the properties, you sell them seller finance, and then you borrow against those notes tax-free. So instead of wholesaling it and taking a loss, you create these notes, which you can sell higher, right? So let's say the property is worth 100, you might sell that thing on a note for 149. So you get less of a down payment up front, but now you can borrow against those notes tax-free. So you don't have to take the tax hit. So if you sell for cash right up front, you're getting the quick cash, but then you're going to have a higher tax burden, right? And this is not tax advice, but just something to think about. Something that I'm thinking about a lot more is I need to start creating a lot more notes.
That's the Dan Cito method right there.
Yeah. Have you ever bought his training?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it.
That's the one he offered for like $297.
Yeah. It really is good.
Yeah, I want to take a look at that, man. I like Dan Cito. He has some good strategies, man. And he's like a freaking note guy. And he's amazing.
Yeah, he's a cool guy too, man. He's gotten on the phone with me a couple times and walked me through some deals, and it's something I appreciate that because he's a busy dude. So
yeah, recently too, I got on the phone with him. Yeah, because I had a note that I'm trying to work out in Denton, and he's like, "Yeah, give me a call," and he walked me through some stuff, man. So I really like Dan Cito. I haven't taken his training, but I intend to.
It's worth it. It really is. Seriously, I'm not a big proponent of buying courses and stuff, but it really is worth it in my opinion.
I love buying courses, man. I think it's cool because no matter what, I think it's like you got to have that, I guess, I don't know if it's like a childlike innocence where you're just like hungry for information, because no matter how good you are, no matter how successful you are, no matter how wealthy you get or whatever it is, there's always somebody that's like 10 levels ahead of you. Right. And I guess it's like, for me, it's less about having so much information that you get like analysis paralysis, but like having those types of strategies. Right? Like how to, like, if you're wholesaling everything and making 50 grand, 100 grand, 20 grand, like maybe you should be hanging on to some of that stuff for cash flow, but then to borrow against those notes tax-free, buy more properties, sell those on a note, borrow that money tax-free. So it's like preservation of wealth, right? And again, it's just, there's levels to it, but if you can't get consistent deal flow up front, you can't get consistent cash flow, then that's stuff that you're not even considering. But that's the problem I think that everybody wants to have, is like, what do I do with all this cash and how do I relieve some of my tax burden? So
another thing about courses, and I kind of thought of the same thing for a while about the course I got to get into land, which was like, okay, it wasn't great, but it kind of got me in the game.
Whose was it?
I'm not going to say.
I guess so. You said it's not great. Yeah.
It's okay. It kind of teaches you how to get mail out and stuff. It's one of the bigger ones, or one of the kind of like original ones. I'll tell you offline, but they, for a few years, I was like kind of resisted about, getting another program. I already kind of learned how to do this. I thought it's kind of ridiculous thinking, I think now, because now the other groups that I paid to join, I've learned so much more from, not just from a knowledge standpoint, but also more importantly, I think, is a network standpoint. Mm-hmm. The people I've met in these other paid groups I've joined are doing what people do, all kinds of different stuff. So you can get shiny object syndrome. But to me, if nothing else, a couple of the expensive ones I've joined, I've made my money back quickly, just purely from a cash standpoint on JVing deals with people in the group. That's not even like the tip of the iceberg. I mean, some of these are lifelong mentorships too. So like Paces, for instance, his isn't cheap, but it's very cheap. Like you just look at it on paper, then it's kind of pricey. If you look at it from like, hey, you're in this thing for a long time and there's people I've known, I've been in it 2 years now. There's people I know that I've known since I joined, and I've gone out to dinner with people and have done deals with people. And it's like thinking long-term, I guess is what I'm getting at. You're trying to set yourself up to do partnerships and work with people on more of a long-term basis instead of a transactional basis. And so for that, like the money you spend to gain access to some of these people who are doing different things, or maybe they're doing similar things and they just do it a little different way. It's kind of about community, which is one of the cool things about the Hivemind, right? Is like, sure, it's a CRM. You can get CRMs anywhere, but like you and Daniel and everyone else here, and I've done JV deals within the Hive. So it's like, and I hope that we're able to continue to do deals and other people in the group, meet each other and realize that you can be a real resource for each other. So sometimes the information in the course is very good and relevant. And then sometimes it's just about joining a community of people and knowing that these are people you can do deals with for the rest of your life.
Yeah, man, I think that's something that you identified really early. And we talked about that before and I do get it when like people are like, hey, that's the same CRM, it's white labeled. I'm like, I think those kind of people, they miss the boat. Like you said, it's about the community. It's about who having a circle of investors around you that you can execute on. So we got a lead Friday, right, for Florida. And I sent it over to DeAndre and he's like, I know who will buy this, but he's not going to let us know until Monday when he's back in the office. Monday morning, like at 9 o'clock, DeAndre said, yeah, he'll buy it. 30 grand from Friday to Monday, right? Just for having the network in place. So, that's pretty cool that like I said, it's like, yeah, if you pay for a training, if you pay for a course, if you pay for a mastermind, pay to be in the Hivemind, it only takes one deal to pay for years and years and years and years of the service. So it's like, that's something that people need to think about, right? And that's something that people don't consider. So the people that say, hey, that's like REI Reply, like, I've never done a deal with anybody from that group, so I wouldn't know. So that's something that people I think might overlook.
Well, just like anything else, if you're looking to join a paid group, like a mentorship or, somebody selling informational products, that's great. And, go for it. But, just do a little due diligence on the front end. There's a lot of trash out there, a lot of it. But there's a lot of good, great stuff too, So take the time to find out who's leading these groups and who's the one providing the information. And to be honest, ask them for HUDs. I didn't do that when I first started. And I kind of learned the hard way that the people that were teaching stuff that I was learning they weren't doing nearly what they claimed they were. And I found out later from people who were working for them that they were all full of it. So just, if you want to ask for HUDs, if anybody feels like they have something to hide, then they're going to get defensive. But like if they don't, they'll gladly flip up and show you a HUD and say, hey, this is what we're doing right now. We have 10 deals in escrow. We have 20 deals in escrow. We just closed 3 deals last week, blah, 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 whatever. So, just do a little bit of homework on the front end with that. But once you're in a good group and the people that you meet and there's newbies that come in that don't know anything. And in 6 months they're killing it. And it's like, you just get these new cycle of people that come in and whatever your level is, whether you're kind of beginner or advanced or somewhere in between. And it's just a lot of people you can continuously work with and help each other and do deals with. I'm talking on like a 10, 20, 30 year time horizon. I'm not talking about what you can do to just get a JV deal next week. So if you look at it on a longer time horizon and you pick the right groups and the right people to associate yourself with, I think it just goes a really, really long way.
Yeah, that's magic right there. Everything you just said, man, it really is about having that, that lifetime network. Right. Because you build a relationship like yourself and myself. I mean, I feel like we're probably going to do deals forever as long as we're both in real estate.
Sure.
And I have some friends that were, in the solar business. It was a solar MLM company. So it was a network based. And I met some of my best friends in there. Evan Price is here in this office. Him and I bought this house together where we're officing out of now. And I met him in the solar business. Right. And now we're lifelong friends. Now we're doing real estate together. So that's another thing, too, is like if it's like they say you're like the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Well, I hope those people are successful, business minded, goal oriented, and no better place to meet them than in business, in environments like these. Like Eloy says, he's done JV deals with 5 members with Hivemind. So I don't know how much that is in dollars and cents, but yeah, from being in a community, like I said, it pays for itself time and time again. It's a great lead source. It's a great JV source. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
But think about it too. I mean, whether Eloy made a couple grand on a JV deal, or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 grand on a JV deal with them, yeah, he now has the trust of the people that brought him the deals that he JV'd with them on, or maybe he brought deals to some other people. I know he has a good buyers list, so I'm sure probably people have brought him deals. But now they know, hey, I can bring a deal to him. He has buyers. He got it done. He can close. And that was the same thing when Ray and I were talking, and we did a deal that I think might have come from one of your leads, Anthony. I told him, hey, this is a buyer I've worked with before. He can be a little flaky, but he'll close when he says he's going to close. Just don't pay attention until it's closing day.
Yeah.
And then don't ride the roller coaster with this guy. Let me do that. And then we got it done. So and I told him, hey, if you got anything else in this area, let me know and we can work this out. Probably the same thing as Eloy. He's you gain the trust when you do a couple of JV deals with the same people, and they'll bring you deals over and over again. If it works out for everyone. So that was something I was really guilty of when I first got into it a couple of years ago. I've been doing it like 4 years, a little over 4 years now, and very short term, thinking about this deal, that deal, and you still got to do that to keep money coming in, of course. But from a relationship standpoint, it just makes sense to just try to always. You get over on somebody on a deal, sure, might be able to make a couple of bucks more. But if you team up and play ball and do things the right way, that could turn into 20 more deals. You just don't know. So there's plenty of people out there that are going to try to screw you over and get a couple extra bucks if they can. But those are people that usually don't last. And if they do, nobody wants to work with them.
Yeah, I think that's what being in a group environment does, having that close network. Then you can execute on deals in seconds. So the original dream for Hivemind was no matter where we got a lead, whether it's in LA, whether it's in Orlando or Jacksonville, whatever it is, we have somebody on the ground there that's already an expert in that area. So that saves your learning curve, right? So you don't have to I got a lead in LA, I got to find some buyers now. We probably have 20 contacts there now. Right. So it's easy as just picking up the phone, calling somebody and say, hey, who can move this thing? Right. And now we're able to move deals within seconds.
And look what you've done in a short amount of time. You guys haven't been doing this that long.
Yeah. I think we're a year and 3 months in or something like that.
That's so young. I remember last summer, I think when I joined, so I've been, we've been together a little over a year now. And I think you guys have maybe kind of been around for 2, 3, 4 months at that point. And, and then look at it now, there's more people in the group and people are doing deals and learning and helping each other out. And, I don't know, I'm in probably 5 or 6 different groups where, you also got to kind of watch your time too, because you can get sucked into these things a lot where it's you're not being as productive as you want to be because sometimes we get in these things where we work by ourselves and we're working at home or we're not around people physically a lot. So it's you want to chat with people because I work kind of by myself in my home office. So it's I'm not physically around people a ton, when I'm working. So it's you want to catch up with people, see what they're up to, how can you help? But you still also have to get work done too. And that's where the VAs can come in and really help out doing a lot of that back end work and just kind of free you up to talk to sellers and buyers and things like that.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Yeah, we appreciate you being here. Like I said, and some of those relationships, if somebody's in the Hivemind and they're hey, somebody will message me and said, hey, do you know this specific person? I'm oh, he's cool. He's in Hive. You already have the badge, you know what I mean? Maybe if I don't know you personally, we've never had a conversation. It's somebody in our network that we already trust. So that's pretty cool, man, to have access to people like that. And then I guess that's a pretty good segue into the next thing that I wanted to talk about is automation, right? And you mentioned VAs, having the use of VAs. So again, I'm going to keep saying it throughout this whole training is that the only 2 ways for you to get leads, seller leads, and to close deals is to have passive leads coming in, right? So in my mind, right, we're digitally creating leads. We're digitally talking to sellers either through text, phone call, RVM, like I said, pay-per-click ads, whatever it's going to be. We're taking capital, we're investing it into digital assets, right? So that's traffic online, phone calls, or text messages. We're converting that into leads and then converting those leads into cash, right? So the same way you'd buy real estate, the same way you'd buy Bitcoin, you can buy traffic, you buy leads. And that's my favorite thing to invest in. My parents like to go to the casino and they stick their money in the machine. They won $5,000, the other day. But, my gambling is I like to invest into digital assets. My favorite type is traffic and leads and marketing. So if you have less cash, right? Like I said, you're going to spend more time on the phone. So you're sitting on the Hivemind, you're texting people, you're on the dialer, you're physically investing your time to get that return on your investment, which is going to be seller leads, but you can also invest capital. Okay. So no matter where you source the traffic from, you're going to have your traffic engine, which is time or money. As the leads come in, you have to facilitate those leads, right? So now you have to talk to those people. So again, it's going to be an investment of your own time to be able to talk to those people, or it's going to be through VAs, right? So, or it's going to be through an employee. Like right now, I'm paying my nephew $10 an hour, and then I pay him, per commission per deal closed. So it's like if you're going to automate this business, like I said, so I come into the office now. I come in like at 12 or 1. I'm gone by 4 or 5, and this is the most contract we've ever got before in a small window. So yeah, through the use of VAs, through somebody that can help facilitate your transactions, they can onboard, they can run comps, that can do a lot of the front end touching. And then once we get into a situation where like, hey, this one's going to need some legal help, this is going to need some probate help, this is going to need some kind of like, I need somebody to close this guy. I feel like he's on the fence. Can somebody come in? And then we bring in the hammer, which is me sometimes, or Elizabeth, and then we close them, get them over to contract and get the deal moved. So if you're going to automate this business, again, you're thinking in terms of what am I going to invest? I'm either going to invest time or capital. That's going to drive seller leads, right? You're going to drive traffic. You need somebody to handle that traffic inbound, whether it's yourself or a VA, and then you move those over to the close, right? So where do we source this from? There's the only paid methods that we're currently using right now and that are available to us is we do texting, a dialer. You can do paid per click ads, both on Google and Facebook. And then of course, like I said, we talked about referrals, personal branding, that kind of stuff. So I think for one, it's picking one strategy and running with it. Since I started in real estate, I've been doing pay per click on Facebook and Google. I've always left it up and running, but now we're implementing a lot more texting. And like I said, recently we hired a call center, and I have a couple people here in the office that are using the dialer. Something that nobody talks about is leveraging. Right. So if you don't have enough of your own time, maybe you have a 9 to 5, that's okay. I prefer you have a 9 to 5 as opposed to saying, hey, I'm going to quit my job and go all in on real estate. Like if you don't have some momentum, that can be pretty dangerous. I'd rather you have like a regular source of income. So something that like I said, I never hear too many people talking about is leveraging the time and capital of other people. Right. And I don't know if somebody might take that with a little bit of a negative connotation. But think about that. If you don't have your own time to invest, and maybe you don't even have your own capital to invest, there's still ways around that, right? So for one, it goes back to personal branding and content marketing, sharing what you're doing, right? So every time you go to the title company, every time you go view a property, bust out your phone, record that, take videos, take pictures. And my favorite place to post everything is on Facebook stories and Instagram stories. So if you do it as a post, that's fine, because it's going to be kind of part of your blog, right? Which people are going to be able to go anytime they want to look you up. They scroll down your page, they see what you're up to. But if you post it on your Facebook stories and your Instagram stories, you're going to get a lot of views. Post it on Reels now. Reels are getting a lot of views now. I mean, we did an interview last week with Lance McCann, and we posted a Reel that was like 2 minutes long. It was getting 700 views per hour when we posted it. So again, thinking in terms of, if you're not going to invest capital into those views, investing your time and energy is going to get you views as well. So to me, in my mind, that is capital, right? When you go to a property, you take pictures, you take video, posting it on social, you're getting free eyeballs. So that's the equivalent of getting money. I bought a website one time for marketing purposes for my roofing company. I paid $110,000 for a website to get leads. So if you're using these tools, right, these Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you're posting on, make sure that when you go out to a property that you're capturing the content. Take a video, take a quick selfie video, say, hey, I'm checking out this house. It's a piece of crap. It's falling over. I got fleas on my pants, right? Let people know what you're doing. Let them know how you got the lead. Where did it come from? What you intend to do with it, what the potential profit is. And post that everywhere you can on social, because anytime you're on social, somebody can find you, so they can send you a deal. Boom. I had a guy from Austin, never talked to the guy before in my life. He said, hey, I got a lead in San Antonio. If it turns into something, give me some cash. If not, don't worry about it. Boom, I made $100,000 from an inbound messenger on Facebook, right? So don't forget to take advantage of the tools that you have. This is all beginner 101 stuff, but if you're not doing it, it's advanced, right? It's free money. So like I said, we're going to cover texting. For texting right now, with the regulations that are coming down, you're going to need to, get more numbers. Maybe you can create multiple Hive accounts. I don't want to tell you to circumvent any laws, but if you are doing mass outreach and texting, laws are changing. So please be aware of that. So slower drip rate, better opt-out language, and get your list highly targeted instead of just pulling like these broad marketing lists where people are like, more people are going to tell you stop. So you might make sure that you dial in your list a little bit harder, make sure you're doing multiple stacking of those lists, more phone numbers, less text messages per minute. But I mean, we talked about this before we started Hivemind, is eventually, texting might be banned altogether. So keep in mind that you're going to want to be using multiple marketing strategies. Don't be a one-trick pony, and you can avoid, some of that stuff moving forward, like I said, by just using it more sporadically. So be careful with that. Implementing a dialer. So if you've already pulled lists, right? I hope you stored those lists somewhere. I hope you have access to all the data you've ever pulled in your life, and hit it with the dialer now, right? So that's another strategy that people aren't thinking about. As texting becomes more and more regulated, start recycling all that old data. Either do it yourself or rely on somebody else. Make sure that you're using your dialer, and make sure you're hitting all of the data that you already have saved up. Even if you feel like you beat up a list that you had from a year ago, 2 years ago, I promise you there's deals inside of that list. So reviving your old data, cross-promoting. We talked about leveraging other people's time and capital. So even hopping into the CRM page or to the Inner Circle page and saying, hey, does anybody have any old data they're not using anymore? Can I comb through it? And I'll JV with some deals if I get any deals off this list. And that's having integrity, working with people that you can trust. Eloy is asking, how do we find buyers? Right now, the strategy that I've used since I started in real estate is posting ads in Spanish on Facebook Marketplace. And the reason I do that is because I feel like Facebook will give you a lot more views if your ad is in Spanish. And for two, the Spanish buyers have a lot of cash on hand. Sometimes they don't have a lot of credit. Maybe they're construction workers, blue collar guys. And you'd be surprised, man. This guy pulled up in a beat up Ford truck, like a 2004 Ford truck. And he wanted to pay cash for a property that had like $320,000 cash. He's like, I have it in the bank. I could just, give it to you. So, keep in mind that putting ads boosted on Facebook Marketplace in Spanish has led to probably 90% of my sales. And then recently in the last few months, we've been texting agents. So as soon as you get a property, no matter where it is, even if it's out in the sticks, grab all the agents in that area, start reaching out to them, and see if they can help you move that deal. That's how we've been moving a lot of stuff pretty darn quick. Yeah. Dixie, Florida. No, we have not moved on that one. If you can text me after this event, I'm still here in the office. I'll make sure that I'll go check on the team and see what they've done with it. And if it's not too late, we can reach out to her tonight. If not, we'll reach out to her tomorrow. Thanks, Tram. Thank you. Yeah, so that's it, guys. I mean, that's pretty much the basics right there. Is like I said, the 101 stuff, branding, content marketing, everywhere you go, post it on your stories on Facebook and Instagram. You're going to get a lot of rotation from that. Please do not think that stuff is beneath you. I got an inbox on Facebook Messenger that made me 100 grand. So no matter what you're doing, I think branding yourself, niching down has made this business super easy as well. Like I said, I pick land. I know there's a lot of other strategies out there. Have some focus, right? I think we tend to flip flop. Everybody gets shiny object syndrome. I'm guilty of it myself. Like, hey, I want some sub twos. Hey, I want some commercial. But pick one lane and run with it. Brand yourself around that, and it's easier for people to identify you. Like I said, people will tag me in group posts. People I don't even know who they are in a group that I'm not even in. And somebody asks in that group, like, hey, who does land? And then people are just tagging me now all over the country. And I'm like, I've never even done a deal in that state, but I'm still getting traffic there. So branding yourself, content marketing, posting that stuff on Facebook stories and Instagram stories. We talked about automation. Automation can be through text messaging, through the dialer. There's companies that you can automate your mailers, having somebody receive those, right? So right now I have paid people in the office that are receiving my warm leads. So after my automations and my cold text and my calls and my pay-per-click ads go out, somebody else is receiving those, combing through those, and possibly taking it to contract without any of my participation. So this is the least that I've ever worked in my business, and this is the most contracts I've ever gotten in the shortest amount of time. But I'm still coming in as a hammer on the back end if I need to negotiate, do a seller finance or creative finance. So I'm still not completely removed from my business, but I do come in, like I said, when it's a little bit larger property or a difficult seller or a difficult situation, something that has to do with probate or something that, my team just doesn't feel comfortable with. So automating your business is as simple as automating your traffic, sending it to another individual, and then you just coming in and doing as little as you have to on the back end. So I think that pretty much covers everything, guys. Like I said, leveraging other people's time and capital. If you don't have enough time of your own, if you're sharing what you're doing on your Facebook and your Instagram, reach out to people, and leave the door open for people. So I see a lot of gurus, they get on there and they say, hey, I'm doing this and I'm closing this deal and closing this deal. Like, you want to share your wins, you want to share your successes, but you don't want to share only that portion of it, because then people might say, hey, that guy's an a-hole, he's just flexing his capital. So what I do to kind of open that loop is I say, hey, reach out to me so I can show you how to do the same thing. Hey, I'm not selling anything, I'll teach you for free. Hey, I'll get on a call. So just make sure that when you share your wins, if you come off as being helpful, say I can show you how to do the same thing, that takes a little bit of that edge off from you just going up and just flexing as a guru. So you can start to leverage other people's time and capital, because I've had to have people reach out to me and say, hey, I'm busy at my 9 to 5. I don't really have any time, to do real estate. How can I do it? I say, well, how much capital do you have to work with? Like right now, Hivemind's offering a program where we'll drive the leads to your phone. So you do absolutely nothing. You're at work and you're on your lunch break, and you get a text message on your phone that says, hey, Lucy in Austin, Texas wants to sell her property right away. So it's a hot, fresh lead that came straight to your phone. They haven't talked to anybody else, and they're actively reaching out to us, asking us if we can buy their property. So what more can you ask for? I mean, you can't get a more targeted lead than that. So again, asking people, hey, I'll show you what I'm doing, or I'll let you know what I'm doing. I can help you. What do you have? And some people have more time and some people have more capital. So for instance, there's a girl in my office, her name's Jasmine, and she happens to be my wife's cousin. She was working at the title company, temporarily, where we send all of our contracts to here, MTC, my title company of Texas and San Antonio. And I told her, I said, learn everything in title that you can. And then after that, I'm going to teach you real estate. So she called me. She said, hey, I'm about to quit the title company. I'm just not feeling it anymore. She was like, do you have any hourly positions for me? And I said, no. I said, but if you come to the office, I'll teach you how to do what we're doing. So she showed up week after week, hitting the phones, hitting the dialer, hitting follow-ups, learning everything that she can. And I saw that she was hungry. So now we hired her on full-time by the hour, and she's going to be hourly plus commission until she goes full-time commission. So again, offering to teach what you know to other people in exchange for their time or their money, right? So if they have capital to invest in the marketing, so this is what happens to me a lot of times, is people say, hey, I want to invest in real estate. I want to give you some money for a deal. I'm ready to flip some cash. I got $5,000, I got 10 grand, I got 20 grand. Tell them, hey, put your 20 grand away. If you have $2,500 a month, I can have motivated sellers calling your phone, by next week. Right. So it's not always about leveraging like, hey, if you have 100 on, take the whole 100. It's like, if you have a couple grand or a grand a month, we can make your phone ring with seller leads. You can get your capital up, and then you can think about start taking down some deals when you have consistent deal flow. What else did I want to cover here? So yeah, pulling funds together. If you have a limited budget, like you say, hey, I can't do 2,500 a month for Hive leads, but I can do 500. Find a handful of other people inside the group, and you can pull your funds together to do more marketing than you otherwise would on your own. So again, don't be afraid to leverage other people's time and capital. It'll help them, and you can also get some help yourself. Hey, Tram, I didn't understand the question. You said you tried to access some data on PropStream. Can you hop on and let us know what you tried or what happened? He says 1 second. His question was, he said, I tried to access some data on PropStream from your post in the group. I must be inputting something incorrectly as I was getting too many on my list. So he says he'll unmute in a second and let us know what he's talking about. So I on the bottom of my notes here, I just posted to me that like getting leads is like printing digital money, right? So the same way that you can buy like a Bitcoin miner or an Ethereum miner, everybody gets all hyped up about that stuff. Maybe I'm going to regret it in the future and say, hey, I missed out. I do have some crypto holdings. I even have some stuff before the crash, like in 2017, that I learned how to access. But getting leads, if you can get leads passively, to me, it's like printing money, right? So I put a little bit of money into my marketing. Leads come out, leads turn into capital. So it's my favorite source of investment is investing in the marketing. If you can learn to generate leads passively, you can easily generate cash flow in this business. And don't let anybody tell you that land doesn't cash flow, because it does.
Yeah, I got myself unmuted. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good, man. Definitely not an interruption. Anytime we have any live meetings, we encourage people to unmute and hop in. It makes everything flow better. And then somebody probably has the same questions that you have. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, I tried, because you gave us that gem and the Hivemind group, and I tried to access some data using the criteria, and I must not be entering the right filters. Okay. Because I'm not really, getting. I actually tried to dive into that area that you gave us, that little hack, that freebie, just to duplicate it. Mm-hmm. So I must be doing something wrong. So I don't know.
Okay, so you're trying to pull data from PropStream?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of that stuff is done by the people in my office. So if you want to give me a ring tomorrow, somewhere between like 12 and 4, or 1 and 4 Central Time, then I could probably get somebody to do a screen share with you tomorrow and see if we can help you with that. And then maybe we'll do a screen record and drop it into the group to see if we can find out what you're doing wrong. But I don't think I mentioned PropStream. I said maybe DataTree, because I think PropStream and Batch are the ones that are kind of getting beat up right now. And I felt like a lot of those people were like, hey, quit effing calling me. Y'all called me 40 times today. And we're getting less from DataTree. So yeah, that's what I recommended.
Okay. All right. I'll still call you though. Maybe so I can figure it out. I'll still call you.
Give me a ring, man. Yeah, we got PropStream here, so I'll have somebody walk you through it and pull a list. But it's worth a try. Maybe pull just a couple small data sets. But yeah. Like north of any Texas city, like San Antonio, Austin, El Paso, Dallas. Well, not El Paso because then you're in another state, right? But Houston, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio. If you pull anything north of those cities, man, those are all fire. Like those are all like money areas.
How about Florida?
Where?
How about Florida?
I don't know where to pull out of Florida. We're doing pay-per-click there. So by the time the people call us, then we'll address those markets. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with pulling lists specifically in Texas, but I just expanded out into Florida, and it has not been a disappointment yet. We're getting ready to close our second Florida deal. So I'm excited to break into that market.
Yeah. Keep us posted.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, happy to JV with anybody. If you don't know which areas to target, yeah, send me a message. And I do a lot of Texas stuff. This is where all of our buyers are. This is where I will personally buy. But yeah, I mean, if you don't know where to target, I got some areas for you in Texas. I dropped one in the group on the post that you're talking about. But we're not afraid to share our areas where we've done deals before, because obviously we know which areas are getting a lot of response and which ones don't have that much buyer response. So again, just another reason to stay connected, be plugged into the network so we can let you know where to hit.
Sweet. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir, man. Thanks for hanging out. So I'm going about an hour today. It's been an hour, but I'm down to answer some questions. If anybody wants to, ask anything, or if you want to mute yourself, and I'm down to take a handful of questions before I bounce. If anybody has anything they want to share, anything you want to cover, anything else that you feel was missed tonight that you want to talk about, happy to cover those now.
Quick question for you, kind of a two-part. How do you vet your JV partners, and how do you vet your realtors? Because I did a lot of JVs in 2021, and not every JV partner is created equal, right? So how do you vet if somebody's bringing you a deal? Because I do a lot of stuff in Southwest Florida. People come to me and ask me, "Hey, can you move this?" And then sometimes I could just tell right away it's not a deal, and I let them know. And then even when I get the the JV contract set up, they might not respond. They might not, do you have any experience on how to vet JV people and how to vet realtors?
I'll tell you exactly what I do. And thanks for the question, Eloy. Thanks for hanging out here too, but always good to see you, man. The first thing that I do when somebody sends me a deal, right? Or they send me something that says, hey, can you look at this deal? Hey, can you help me move this? I ask them for comps right away. And I think that kills 95% of the deals that I'm looking at. So somebody says, hey, I got this lot in Dallas. Can you help me with this? I'm like, cool, yes. Send me the lot and send me all the comps that you have for that lot. Oh, I haven't run comps yet. Okay, get on YouTube, figure out how to run comps, run some comps, and then send me all the information. Because if they're too lazy to get on YouTube for 30 minutes or an hour and learn how to run comps, then for one, they probably don't have a deal anyway, because they don't even know if it's a good deal or not. And then that saves you from having to just spend the rest of your life comping other people's deals that they didn't even do any homework on. So that's one thing that'll tell you who's lazy and who's not. If they say, here's my deal, here's my comp, here's what I have it at, here's what I think it's worth, and here's 3 local comps, that I'm going to take that person a lot more seriously. And then the second part of your question is when it does look like it's at a good price and it looks like it's something that we're going to be able to move, I ask them to send me the JV contract. And again, so I'm not wasting all my time or my team's time just writing up contracts all day. Like, sounds amazing. I can help you with this. Send me a JV contract whenever you're ready. Here's my email. Right. So I didn't have to waste time comping it if they didn't, and then I don't have to even waste time drawing up the JV contract. So by the time they call me, hey, I have a deal. Here's how we can move it. Here's my JV agreement. I'll send it to your email. Let's rock and roll. We just did one of those with Justin Long. He said he just had to bounce right now, but he was on here for the whole call. He's in Houston. He said, hey, I have these 4 contracts. Can you help me move any? I looked at 2. They look pretty good. And he ended up selling one of them before I could get to it. But then he sent it to the other one like 2 days ago. I said, send me your JV agreement. He sent it to me. We signed it. And bam, we have a buyer for it like within 48 hours. So
yeah, the comp question goal, I didn't even think about that, because you're right. These, like I get, because I know the market so well where I'm at, I can tell right away. So I never asked that question. But yeah, that's actually a good question just to vet them to begin with.
let them disqualify themselves. Right. Like I said, because if they're too lazy to take an hour to go on YouTube University and learn how to comp, then like I would love to help that person, but I'm not going to like, feed them with a spoon. Like I have enough things going on. So if you want to learn, if you want to make some money, invest an hour of your time, learn how to run some comps, pull me some decent comps, send that along with your property in a contract. I'd be happy to help you. I'd be glad to make you a lot of money. And I can tell you right away also, so they don't waste their own time. Right. I've had people send me a contract and I'm looking at it and I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, dude, there's 3 properties that are listed online right now that are cheaper than yours. Right. Like, so why is yours going to sell and theirs hasn't, So yeah, just making sure they're not wasting their own time and they're not wasting yours. And then, like I said, and then also having them drop the JV agreement, send it over, have your lawyer bless it, read through it. If you're not familiar with contracts, get that over to title before you start trying to market the property. Because that's another thing too, that I've wasted time in the past is I've helped them sell it. Like, hey dude, I got a buyer. And like you said, they're ghosted. Or, oh, I already sold that one. Like, well, thanks a lot, jackass. You could have at least told me that so I could stop working on it. So
yeah, that happens a lot actually. That you bring that up. A lot of people ask like they'll be probably on the precipice of getting the contract signed, but they want to get the buyer first. So they'll ask me, hey, will your buyer buy this? I'm like, okay, the thing I say is, do you have it under contract? And they'll say no. Well, I'm not going to show this to my buyer because then they're going to get pissed if he can't, buy it, like if they can't sign the contract. So that's another thing, like you said, that happens a lot. You market it and then either sell it or don't even have it on the contract.
Yeah, protecting your time, protecting your energy, legally protecting yourself. Marketing out a property that you do not have a contract on is illegal. So, for their own sake, I'll say, hey, I'm your friend, right? So I'm glad to take a look at it for you, but just FYI, like, don't be posting this in public if you don't have it under contract. Entering into a contract that you don't intend to close on or don't have the means to close on is also illegal, right? So I can see if you're pre-shopping it out. If you want to protect yourself, this is not legal advice, but something that I do. If it's something that's way out of my price range, like I say, hey, this thing's freaking $4 million. I don't have $4 million in the bank. So sometimes I will identify some people that might be able to buy this thing. So what I'll do is I'll get an option. And I'll tell the seller straight up, it's like, hey, I don't have $4 million, but I think I know who might. So if you can get me a 14-day option on this thing or a 30-day option, I'll get it in front of some of my partners and some of my buyers and investors to see if it's something they would pick up, right? So that's how to remove some of the liability for yourself, or the way that, at least that I do it. If you don't want to enter into a contract that you cannot perform on, just be super, super careful with that. I know nobody likes to talk about that, like the dark side of wholesaling, but yeah, be careful. Don't get yourself into trouble. Second part of that question is, how do I vet realtors? So for one, their responsiveness, right? And how helpful they are. So if we text some realtors and they say, which brokerage are you with? Like, wrong answer. Sometimes I don't even answer those back, right? Because the realtor that does have a buyer says, call me, I have a buyer for this, right? So I'm judging on every word that they say, I'm judging them by every word that they say. So if they say, can I list it for you? Like, wrong answer again, right? So I might not even text that guy back. So I'm specifically looking for the buyer that says, call me, I'm ready to do business, send this to me. How do I got to buy this? How do I know this isn't a scam? Or another one they say is, can you hop on the phone? That buyer's ready to do business. I mean, that agent's ready to do business. So that's kind of the way that we weed through them, is how responsive they are, how quick are they ready to go. And then, like I said, some of them, you'll see them, if you have a really good property at a really good price, they'll get really aggressive. Like, hey, you guys texted me an hour ago. I've been trying to get somebody to call me. Why has nobody called me? Like, can somebody please call me? I have a buyer for this. Like, that's the guy I want to get on the phone immediately.
Perfect. Because I've been striking out with realtors lately. I've been literally having problems. You say the non-responsiveness, do you want me to list it? Well, bro, literally all the questions you said, exactly what I'm going through right now.
Yeah. If they start off on the wrong foot, they kind of don't understand the game. Are you an agent? What brokerage are you with? Like, who cares? Do you have a buyer? Yes or no?
That just means they don't have a buyer. That's all it is.
Yeah. So, sometimes we do text them back as a courtesy. I don't want to say like we come off as like, but yeah, if they're just asking all the wrong questions, yeah, they don't get it. Daniel says the list guys have the Florida agent list. So if you are in a market where you don't have any agent phone numbers, hit up Mr. Daniel Martinez and he can get you some magic. Yeah. I think texting agents has become our number one dispo strategy now. So consider that, think about that. No matter what you were doing before, if you had builders, I have never sold to a builder. I have never sold to a developer. We always sell to end buyers, and agents have buyers that will either come in and pay full price or they'll pay over retail. So yeah, we've been able to command, like everywhere we go, we're setting new comps. I've had plenty of agents say nothing's ever sold from that in that area. Like, I don't care. That's how much I'm selling it for. Does your buyer want it or not? I'll send the contract in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah,
Right.
the reason because I have a humongous list for Southwest Florida, but the reason I want to get to agents is I've been realizing, at least in my market, a lot of these agents have connections with South American money, like in Venezuela or like Argentina. The inflation's so bad over there. They don't even care about paying retail. They're just trying to park their money over here in the US, because like Argentina inflation is like 90% year over year. It's horrible. So they're trying to move their money as quickly as possible. And these agents that have connections to Miami are I have like almost, how do you say, exclusive relationships with these buyers almost. So that's what I've been trying to focus on lately, because they get them before they even start buying.
It's the perfect marriage if you think about it. Agents are not good at finding properties, right? So us as investors and wholesalers, we are experts at finding properties for sale, right? So we go direct to seller. But a lot of what we do, it's very normal to us, but it's unorthodox to them. Something that they're good at is walking through a restaurant and dropping their card on the table and saying, hey, if you ever need anything, hit me up, right? So sure enough, they have a bunch of buyers in their pocket, right? They're good at networking. They're good at shaking hands. They're good at taking headshots and posting them all over Facebook and saying, call me when you need something. But they're not necessarily good at, finding tons and tons and tons of sellers. And that's what we're great at. So I think if you're not networking with realtors, if you're not texting realtors to move your deals, you're making a terrible mistake. And if you're not using Hive leads to get passive leads, if you can afford it, you're wasting a lot of time and energy. Because if you're doing anything else to get leads, like let's say you're even, texting, calling, all that other stuff, it pretty much pans out the same. If you just pay Hivemind, we'll send the seller leads direct to your phone. We're experts at it. We've been doing it for a really long time. And the deals are getting bigger and better every time we turn around. So yeah, we're working on one right now from a Hive lead, and I think we're gonna make like 450, something like that, maybe more. So yeah, I think that covers everything, guys. Any other questions? I'm gonna probably take one or two questions. I'm gonna bounce if nobody has nothing. This meeting is adjourned.
Hey, Anthony, I got a question real quick.
What's up, brother man?
You said you prefer the data tree over prop stream because everything's getting beat up too much on prop stream.
Yeah, I've almost never been on any groups where somebody's like, use data tree, but you see batch and prop stream being dropped everywhere. And just from our experience, yeah, people have been like, you guys already called me 72 times today. I'm like, dang it, I ain't called nobody. This is my first time I ever called you, sir. And we get a lot less of that on data tree.
Okay, yeah, I get a lot of that. 40 times, 50 times, I'm sick of you guys calling me. I hear that all the time.
Yep. And of course, I love, promoting the list guys and all that stuff. And then there's been tons and tons and tons of Hive people that have got lots of deals off the list guys too. So don't forget about Daniel.
Awesome. Of course not. And then one more question, if you don't mind. What do you give the agent? What is his percentage of your sale?
We're pushing at 4%, but then we think about it like, man, they're super happy to get 3%. But then also it depends, like the deal, the area, the difficulty of the deal, right? So if we want to move something really quick, we'll push something crazy out. Like, hey, we'll offer 5%, 6%, 10% if we have the room for it. But typically texting out, hey, we'll pay you 3%, pretty quick. And then you'll have some agents that kind of know the game and they're like, yeah, I got a buyer for this, but I want 4%. Like, sold, you can have it. Let's go.
The trick is the C word, commission. We're paying out commissions, and they love that.
There you go.
Backlash to the C word.
Yeah, because for them, it's a free deal, right? They already have the buyer. They're ready to go. They get a text message on their phone from some random stranger that says, hey, I got a deal for your buyer. They're like, oh, shit, there's a free $3,000 on my phone. Cool, right? So they're pretty active, man. I love agents. People make fun of them. Agents have made me a ton of money in the last 3 years. I love agents. I love working with them. And when you find a good one, they're good, they're fast. And you get a free transaction coordinator. They drop the contracts. They do everything. They talk to title. They do so much work to earn that 3%. I was like, man, give that guy 4. Send him a Christmas card or something.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool.
Free transaction coordinator. I love it. Any other questions? Everybody in here is a marketing guru now. You ready to go make some money?
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, guys, I guess that's about does it. We're always accessible. If you want to reach out to Daniel or myself, we are in momentum. We're having a lot of success right now. If you're struggling for leads, please stop, reach out to one of us. Let's get you some leads. And then if you need help moving deals, right now we're moving Texas, Florida, California. We're starting to work Arkansas. So, Arizona. So we're moving then. We're growing as fast as we can. But yeah, if you're struggling anywhere in your business, reach out to us. You know, we have a lot to offer right now. We appreciate you guys for being here with us and being a part of this mastermind, being a part of the Hivemind, and we want to see you make a ton of cash so you can bless your friends and family.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.onelistguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.
All right, everybody, y'all have a blessed night, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for hanging out.